if you listen to Friday night's program, you notice that I did not make any comments whatsoever about the decision that was revealed by the Supreme Court on Friday. There was no need to. We've known since, when was it, in May, that this fascist Supreme Court, this Christian fascist Supreme Court, was going to do what it did on Friday. So it's no longer a constitutional right that has been taken away from women. It has been taken away from women. Now, there's something to be concerned about here. It's not going to stop here. This fascist Christian agenda includes a hell of a lot more than just stopping women from deciding their own reproductive decisions. The lump that usually sits in the corner, Uncle Clarence Thomas, in his concurring opinion that overturned Roe v. Wade, the lump has a vision. And I'm sure the vision was put into his chuckle-headed moronic skull by his bitch of a wife. But Uncle Clarence has a vision. And the vision concerns what other rights these fascist Christians could make disappear. Because the same rationale that the fascist Christians on the Supreme Court used to declare there was no right to abortion, according to Uncle Clarence, that rationale should also be used to overturn cases that have established rights to birth control, contraception, or gay relationships, or more properly stated, same-sex consensual relationships. Oh, and same-sex marriage. And why stop there, you ugly son of a bitch, Clarence, Uncle Clarence? Why don't you overturn the right of interracial marriage? There's nothing in the Constitution about that either. But that would fuck up the kind of situation that you're in with Ginny, wouldn't it? And in the majority opinion, written by Sammy the Fish Alito, who has patiently waited for decades to be able to do this, Alito said that nothing in this decision, quote, should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion, end quote. Yeah, right. You believe these fuckers? Would you believe any one of these 6 justices if they told you right now it was whatever time it is when you're listening to this bonus, if they told you it was that time, I would double check my watch. Alito, however, noted that in its rationale to destroy Roe v. Wade, the majority of the court, the fascist Christians, found that a right to abortion was not a form of liberty protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. That's what the court back in 1973 said. They had to rule in Roe v. Wade that a woman's right to privacy was part and was protected by the due process ruling or clause in the 14th Amendment. And then Alito, Sammy the Fish, took aim at 3 other landmark cases that relied on the same legal reasoning. Now, they were Griswold versus Connecticut. That's the 1965 decision that declared married couples had a right to use contraception. Yeah, that was just 1965. Then there was Lawrence versus Texas. That was a case in 2003 that invalidated sodomy laws and making same-sex sexual activity legal across the country. And do you know why that one was declared unconstitutional, any law against so-called sodomy? which is any kind of penetration other than the Christian fascist idea of man superior, woman inferior missionary position. Well, the reason the Lawrence versus Texas case had to be thrown out, I mean, it had to be declared, in that case, it had to be declared that so-called sodomy laws were unconstitutional because men and women, I mean, it was pointed out to the Supreme Court. Listen, as far as anal sex, men and women do that too. As far as oral sex, men and women do that too. Not just men and men or women and women, you stupid bastards, you. So in 2003, 19 years ago, up until that point, if a husband and wife practice oral sex, or a boyfriend and girlfriend, or two people of opposite sex, different sex, it was a crime in so many states, especially in Texas. Oh, Christ. And then there was the Oberfell versus Hodges case in 2015. That case established the right of gay couples to marry. Now, it would seem to me that the Equal Protection Clause of, is it the 14th Amendment? That's due process, but equal protection under the law. I mean, it's not these religious fuckers who determine the rules of marriage anyway. It's the state. I've said this a million times. I don't care what religious person you have conducting a marriage ceremony. He or she has to end up by saying, now, by the power vested in me by the state of whatever, I declare you husband and wife. He doesn't say, by the power vested in me by this invisible crazy fucker that you Abrahamic freaks want to call God or Yahweh or whatever you want to call him. No. By the power vested in me by the state. Well, look for all three of these to the pressure to begin to make them illegal once again. Uncle Clarence, with Ginny whispering in his ear, wrote that the court, quote, should consider all three decisions because the court has a duty to correct the error established in those three decisions. Do you hear that? It was an error, according to this lump of horseshit Clarence Thomas. It was an error to say that married couples had the right to contraception. It was an error saying that sodomy laws were ridiculous. It was an error, according to this lump of horse crap, that gay couples had a right to marry. This is what Ginny is pushing her husband to do. You do what I say, Clarence. Do what I say. Jesus Christ. And then he said, after, I'm quoting, overruling these demonstrably erroneous decisions, the question would remain whether other constitutional provisions protected the rights they established. So it's like a row of dominoes. And this miserable son of a bitch, Clarence Thomas, and his sidekick, Sammy the Fish Alito, they want to push the first domino over and watch the whole goddamn chain of dominoes collapse. This is what it means to destroy democracy and live in a theocracy. You think that, I know, I'm just saying this rhetorically, but you think this is only about taking away from a woman sovereignty over her own body? I know you don't think that, but I'm just, it's a rhetorical question. It's so much more than that. Now, the kind of language is that Sammy the Fish and the lump Uncle Clarence is using, is just what advocates for reproductive rights and for lesbian and gay rights have been fearing. Defenders of the right to privacy, which includes the right to abortion, have warned over and over and over that if Roe v. Wade was overturned, the right to contraception and same-sex marriage will be next. And it will. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.